Jake still playing?
Confidence Core is like a full shotgun that shoots multiple pellets, and the B shield amps up every single shot for extra damage. All the pellets, as long as you've got a full shield, it won't drain the shield for the shots.
Got like a sniper rifle now called a Kalapipine or some shit.
I've got a shotgun in this game I'm holding called the Panicking Rainbow Vomit. It shoots
sick.
rainbows.
Sick, man. I haven't got any grenades. I need some
Special
grenades.
VC? Nah.
Let me in. Do I need to save? Or is
Hey,
it
babe.
always-
DDM on here just wanted me to let you know you're the
Rare
reason why he beats his wife.
Rare alpha gameplay, insane.
He's gonna play Alpha Mega? Oh my god.
Nice.
Do you want me to repeat it to you? I'm on here named DDM, alright?
Dude, I'm still in the game.
I said, yeah, man, what's up, you know? I was always just having a normal conversation. He goes, are you ready? Well, lady, she's the reason why I beat my wife. I don't know what that means. I don't know if you know him or not, but I guess thank you for your services, I guess.
Yeah, I'm playing.
Oh
PC,
shit, a
and,
shotgun. What's this?
I'm joking.
Controller.
Yeah.
That's what you say.
An ornery grouch shotgun. What's it?
My hands are so
Ornery
Like
coach.
when you hear your blind girlfriend
Hi,
talk
baby.
about her toxic exes after you change your voice for the
Yes,
first time this
baby.
year.
What the heck? Don't let their nose eat your face, dude. I'm listening to Jake's
gonna
stream. When you when you hear your girlfriend complain about what is it? What do you say when you hear your blind girlfriend complain about all the toxic
No, I
exes
literally
she's
goes,
had over the
you
last year
tell
after
him
you've changed
that
her
if
voice
he
for like
keeps
the
it up,
third
then
time?
I'm gonna be the reason why I beat you. I'm like,
That's
"Fuck."
crazy. What the heck?
W girlfriend.
That's what I just heard. They said
Yeah.
W, your girlfriend.
I won't let the Novas get me.
Oh.
I actually have like time to play for the first time. I'll play like 3 rounds today, I'm thinking.
I died on my other zombie game.
We'll see.
I'm not in the race anymore because I'm a loser. Yeah.
I'll probably at least be able to do a little bit
Why did I lose it?
today and
Because I
maybe
died,
a
and then they asked
smidge
if I was
on
gonna run it back
Friday.
up.
Depends. We'll
And I'm like,
see.
no,
And then over the
that's
weekends,
kinda
I
cured my
hopefully should.
depression, to be honest.
I don't have any tests now coming up for a
Playing
while.
Liberty Falls, honey, you get put in a depression. You would understand. You'll understand.
I love how he's trying to explain it to his girlfriend. That's great.
I'm
Hey, just get
into this. Like last night, I got off the game because I had something to deal with one of my buddies, like I told y'all earlier. And she got upset. She goes, "I thought we was gonna play zombies together. We'll play split screen
Dude,
all
who's
the time."
Jake talking to? Like John,
He loves
like
zombies.
Texas John, like Smith. Just like
Yeah,
the most,
play
the
on
most
Resident Evil.
southern person ever.
The only time
She did. She went to round 6 with the ASD shotgun,
round 6, let's go. New high round.
and she did not get off the roof in the spawn in Liberty. But she made it to round 6. But the spiders gave her nightmares. So
Spiders. I pick up this fucking hellstorm. Can I pick it up? Wait, why?
bro, if I don't, I feel like I should have brought immolations to this.
I need to start saving at least like 4 shots per thing.
TTS is right on.
Hello, dog. Oh man, this FOV feels so awful. I can't lie.
Let me post a screenshot. Hold on.
Also, I threw that in a really bad spot as well. I was supposed to wait.
Oh, that's kind of a cooked screenshot, but I don't care.
Was that my computer?
What of max ammo?
Oh wait, whoops.
That's a wrong screenshot.
No, I just didn't fucking pull the whole thing. Your screenshot got deleted? Oh, you screenshotted it?
Bro, screenshotted the screenshot?
Screenshotted the screenshot.
My eyes hurt, bro. My eyes hurt.
I think my fix.
I'm gonna go watch
My end is goes.
some other things on YouTube.
And you're secretly watching porn.
That's the guy talking about.
I'm just kidding.
Wait, hold on. I'm not in the stream anymore. Wait, that means they're in the Discord. Whoa. Whoa. I was
Yeah,
so
you're in the
confused.
Discord.
Dude, I was so confused. I thought I still had Jake's stream open. I'm like, what am I hearing? Like, what is he talking about?
Nope.
I
that's not Jake Stream. That is this guy.
I was so confused. I really should have like the beding
Yo,
sound effect
my bad.
when
My
it gets
bad.
turned
I
on.
didn't mean to scare you like that.
Oh, that's so funny. I need to. I have every single notification or stuff like that for Discord completely turned off, so I didn't even know anyone joined.
So, like, if I was to join the call, you didn't even know that I joined?
Yeah. And
Damn.
it didn't register in my brain. I mean, I don't have it like Discord open on my other computer right now, so it didn't even register in my brain that, oh yeah, someone else is in the call. I still thought I was listening to Jake's stream.
Yeah.
Dude, that. Oh my gosh. It took so long to click. Dang. Oh well. So after this game, we're playing the 500-hour tag game, right?
What?
After this game, after my game here, we're playing the 500-hour tag game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, 2P tag reset? Fuck yeah.
It'll happen. With no
Hell
issues.
yeah, the first reset on BO4 is going to be a 2P.
That would be amazing.
Imagine.
That would be incredible.
Imagine.
I would
Nah,
love
we
that.
gotta do like a LAN party. Yeah, there you go, LAN party.
A 2-month one, because there's no way that's happening any less than 2 months. That is such a
we'll do-
long commitment as well. Like, there's people who
Nah,
are like genuinely will be in relationships for less time than I was in my one
Yeah,
game.
what, I wonder
So-
what even is. I wonder what the 2P tag hardcore record even is. I don't even know what that is.
I have no
that
idea.
record
There's only
is.
like one 300 co-op game on all of BO4, and that I think it was Durix. He played a solo op split screen with all elixirs and
Yeah, that was
talismans.
just tag megas.
So
Yeah, it was tag megas, and he made it an error too.
yeah, he made it all the way to like wait. I think he like quit the game because he physically couldn't get another round out in the game. And so as he was
but
quitting
he
it,
ended
that's
the
when
game.
it crashed.
Like he ended the game, and then he errored
Yeah.
right after he ended the game.
So it was
That's
over
what he told.
anyways. So
Yeah, my PB on tag is only 237.
that's pretty good still. Is that on hardcore or normal?
It's on normal.
Yeah, I mean that's still pretty good. That's like 30 hours. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, now the megas record is fucking lower than the classics record on both categories.
Yeah. Wait, the Megas record is lower on both. Oh yeah, because of mine. Yeah. I was like, wait, what? Because don't we have that one guy? But no. Yeah, man.
Oh shit, someone else joined.
Ooh,
Hello there.
who joined? Oh, it's Mock. I can tell Mock's voice just by his voice. It's Mock. Ooh.
Hello there.
Why? I'm actually playing Alpha.
Wait,
first
why?
time ever.
I literally went on ZWR just to look at the tag 2P hardcore record, and I haven't even looked at it yet.
Nice.
243.
I think we should DDoS CWR and delete the website.
That's
Yo,
a
that,
potentially
actually
extreme idea.
It would
Is it
work.
because of the vote thingy that Jake kind of put out, like whatever
Yeah.
it was?
I don't even care that much, but it would be funny if we did that. I should learn how to hack just to do that.
Yeah.
nah, Wilda, we should play fucking 2P tag first room.
2P tag first room, and then we'll just one up whoever the world record holder is, and then we'll like play another 50
Yeah,
rounds
because
past that, but
Bobber's-
not submit the gameplay
yeah.
until later.
I think Bobber has the record for 2P.
Okay, if I had the time, I would 100% go for that and obliterate the record as much as I could. I would do that. 100% would do that. Just because
Yeah,
I hate
Bobber-
people who one up.
That's like the
Oh,
only
makes
thing
you-
that Bobber plays is fucking first rooms and like tag.
Yeah,
That's it.
I hate one up.
Yeah, like
so
he has the
much.
no elixirs record. He won up baskets.
Yeah, those two have just been submitting it like over and over. I don't know why one of them just don't go ahead and just submit the entire gameplay, kill all hopes for anyone else to play. That's like the way to go about it, I think. Don't
Yeah,
one
that's what
up
I
them because
would
they
do.
might
If I-
have.
If I went for this record, I would try to fucking destroy it.
Yeah, that's all I would care about is just like obliterating it.
Yeah, like look at this. Bobber has the solo no elixirs, solo classics, solo megas, solo purist, solo hardcore. classics.
He's a Russian player, right?
Yes, he is from Russia.
Sounds like he needs a little bit of Manifest Destiny. Someone from America should go play some of the records.
He has a 59 on Ancient Evil with no elixirs in the first stream. That's actually pretty
Oh yeah,
impressive.
that's good. Yeah. I mean, okay, it's not too
and a,
bad
and
for
a
the spawn
60 and a
control to
60
start
off
off
with
with.
classics.
Like actually getting them to spawn in and not dying, that's actually like pretty easy. The horde of it's only a 4 spawn, but
Heck, I didn't think that the 57 would be beat for a long time.
what I'm surprised at, people keep beating the Dead of the Night first room. It's gonna hit 40 at some point. That's actually like really impressive one in my opinion. There's nowhere
I mean,
to go.
I think the classics record is 40.
There's like flat out nowhere to move in that room. You got 2 spawns and then you have 3 once vampires start coming. It's just absolutely awful. Like top 5 worst
Yeah,
experiences.
that's probably it's the hardest first room on that game for
I
sure.
think so. Yeah, definitely. That I mean, I thought it was classified for a while just because of how little room you have to run, but
If you want to play a really hard first room, play classified purist.
what are you not allowed to use in that?
Classified purist first.
It's I mean,
You can't use elixirs. You
Alright.
have to spawn in with
oh yeah, no special weapon.
either the strife. You have to spawn in with either the strife, the Essex, or the Mog.
Yeah.
And you can't use your special. You can only use frags and acid bombs, and you have to play on hardcore.
That sounds again awful. I can't imagine why I would ever want to play that.
That record's actually not. That's actually why the record's so low. It's not even 30.
Okay, that can be beaten. I
The
feel
record's
like then
29.
someone.
I forgot who has that record. I think who the hell has that record again?
I got no idea.
Hold on. Purist classified. Tonestone has it?
Huh.
This guy actually plays BO4? What? I didn't even know Tonestone played BO4.
I had 32 dogs, so next one's potential 37. So yeah, I'm not getting dogs today.
What even is the dog interval for Alpha Omega?
It's normal game, so you have to go through a minimum of 4 zombie rounds before you even have a chance of getting a dog round. So you have to.
No, I mean like what is it? Like what is it after that? Like is it like 7 to 10? Or
Oh yeah,
5
yeah.
to 6 or
It's every
something?
5 or 6. So every 5th or 6th round, you'll have a dog round. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't really play Alpha Omega like that, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
The longest one in the I think that is going to be what's it called? Blood of the Dead, and that's has a 7 to 10, which is off, or 8 to 10. But you can lower it down to 5 to 6.
Yeah, that's what IMZ is doing.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
like-
dude.
it's,
Is he still in his
realistic.
game? Is he still going?
He's still going.
Is he in the 160s yet? I saw 150. I thought a while back.
Yeah, he's I don't know what round he's on, but I know that he's over 100 hours in.
Oh my gosh. I can't. He's actually gonna hit infinite normal rounds, which is super underwhelming sounding. Oh, look at me! I just hit infinite normal rounds, but that's gonna be interesting to see.
His last stream is 157.
Yeah, the thing is,
100 and something in.
I have no idea how he's actually gonna even play once he gets to infinite normal rounds because there's no way to make money.
He's at 105 hours in.
Magma Gat won't work. It won't give you points. You can't headshot bug until 182, which seems to be a number capped thing.
If you run out of ammo, you're fucked.
Yeah, well, yeah, that or points. So
I mean, if you run out of points, you're fucked.
yeah, there's nothing you can do to get more points. There's physically nothing you can do. The only thing he can do is get back his he can finish the side Easter egg for the Hell's Retriever and get the Hell's Redeemer. And once you get that, you can actually headshot bug the zombies with that thing and gain 30 points. You can get a total of 150 points at a time.
Yeah, but it would probably be safer. It would be safer to have monkeys.
Yeah, it would be. But then you also lose your what's it called? Your good dog rounds with that as well. They'll go back to being 8 to 10 instead of 5 to 6. So there's no good way to go about doing it. If he can get to 182, then he's fine because he can just headshot bug. But getting there is going to be the issue. I don't know how he's going to manage to do that.
I have no idea, but even if he doesn't, this is still probably one of the most insane games I've ever seen.
I bet he'll probably game over around like 171 or 172.
I was gonna say like 178.
Yeah, I think he's gonna run out of points. That's what's gonna kill him.
He's gonna hit infinite normal rounds.
Yeah, definitely.
But after that, I don't know.
Like I need to have his brain checked. Something's wrong with him.
I don't think 200. 200. I don't think 200 is even possible.
Time wise, definitely is, but I don't think. Yeah, he's gonna run out of points before.
Yeah, you'd run out of points before 200. So yeah, that sucks. There's only like 2 maps that I know of where you can actually hit 200 on realistic.
Let's see.
You can do it on Tag and Ancient Evil.
Oh yeah, Ancient Evil would be an easy one because with the easier one with Hand of Charon, yeah.
And I think Ancient Evil is actually the longest realistic game.
Isn't that because he had like
140 hours.
Yeah, that was his previous
like 140
game.
hours.
It was like a 140 something as well.
It was like 146, I think, or something like that. I have no idea.
Wait, do I have my desktop audio on? Okay, I do. All right. Talking about IMZ's one game, Prince. The game he's in right now. Oh, I forgot to throw my thingy. Oh well. I gotta stop throwing the overkill anyways. At about probably 255, I'll stop throwing it. Apparently, it can cause crashes. Now, I don't know about that for sure, but I'm gonna take Chief's word for it. So.
Throwing the overkill can cause crashes?
Apparently, I've never seen that happen ever in my life, but I'm not gonna risk it.
I don't think I've ever had that happen before.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take his word for it. I mean, usually that,
I mean, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like it's gonna change too much. It's still gonna be a slow game. It doesn't change the fact that I'm not gonna hit 500. So I don't really care.
Yeah, I gotta get back to this Blood of the Dead game.
What round are you on?
I literally just started.
Oh, okay. Are you playing it on normal or hardcore?
Normal.
Okay. I need to actually play this game and continue and finish it. I'm about a fifth of the way through the game.
Wait.
Thinking, I guess technically.
One?
Or not a fifth.
Is that Wonder?
I don't know.
This is my time in this Discord.
No way! Oh my gosh!
Yo, it's Wonder. Let's go.
I changed my username by mistake. Nice.
Hey, Waldo. I hope you're doing well. I haven't heard from you yet.
I've been doing a lot of schoolwork. Dude, I got 100% on my chemistry test, so it's worth it.
Damn, you got that. No, what happened? Was it like biochem? What type of chemistry?
Chemistry 1, but it's still 100%, so I'm taking it. I'm taking it still, easily.
You're college, right? You're doing college.
Yeah, I'm in college.
Fuck yeah. Alright, fuck yeah.
I finally got time to play Alpha.
You know how hard that is, right? You know how hard it is to get 100 in fucking chemistry.
Dude, I know. I saw that. I was like, God, I got super excited about it. I was getting my car to go to my lab today, and I see that. I'm like, oh no way. So I was super happy about that. Have that. Yeah. So I haven't. the sheer amount of like notes and like lectures, all that stuff I gotta watch, I just kind of stopped playing in general because it's like it's not okay. I like playing for the zombies, but I want to also be able to put like a decent chunk of time into it if I'm gonna play it. If I can't get more than like an hour in, I'm just not gonna even do it.
Forgotten when it comes to that shit and like trying to manage it is
Yeah.
that, I had to have somebody let me know this because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then like I had a much more smart person than I am come up to me and it's like, hey, bro, like technically the game's gonna exist longer than you will if you think about it, right? Like, your life is precious type shit. Like, fuck this game. Like, take a year off. You'll come back.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, who gives a fuck? Like, seriously.
I mean, it's gonna be here for a long time, 11 months still. The one game at least that I'm in currently, so I can afford to
that's
take
year
a
you're in,
long
like,
break.
You plan that out. You plan it out and you take your time with it. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what you
not rushing the game by any means.
should- Yeah, fucking absolutely. Yeah, nope. Focus on that chemistry, bro. If you got 100 on that bitch, you might have other opportunities in life.
Yeah.
Be focusing on that.
So
Wait, what are you major? Do you have a major?
yeah, so I majored in criminology and criminal justice, and I'm going for my degree right now in just bachelor's in criminology and criminal justice. So
Criminology. Do you do any forensic shit? I mean,
that's what I want to do. Forensic technician. It turns out though that that's a lot more of like a science loaded thing than actual like criminology. So like instead of like the theory.
Have you the tech part? There's a tech. I call it like a gatekeep almost. There's like a tech gatekeep when you have to start looking and using specific devices for it.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you already probably understand MATLAB and all that, but dear God, you get some really. You're gonna learn programming, like even if you don't want to.
Yeah. What was it? There was That's a lot of zombies. Hello, guys. Okay. What was it I was saying? Yes, it's a lot more science load and all that stuff than I realized. So when I emailed like my advisors and everything a bit back, and I'm like, hey, I wanted to do this. Am I okay to still like? Do I need to change courses and try and go for like like a degree in like something of the sciences by any chance, or do you think I could just like stick with criminology and just do like a minor in science? And like, yeah, you could probably just do that. So I'm doing that instead. Or continuing how I am, but just changing my minor from computer science to normal science.
Yeah, you would want to go to like normal science if you want to call it that. That would be the case. Computer science is perfect in that area, but you're going to be given a bunch of different things. You need to like specifically like you probably have to deal with like biochem at some point.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to at least do that. Probably that. Either organic chemistry soon next semester. I have like a list of it. There's like 6 classes I think I got to take in total, so I should be good by the end of whatever.
If you have any question about like the metabolic processes of the human body, I hope this like stays in your head. If you have any questions about that, I'm just gonna put it in text. If you have any questions, I got this thing from Roche. It's an entire map of the all living organisms biochemical pathways.
What?
It's something you have to do with. Yeah, it's through something called Roche. It's a biomed company. And that used to be free. It used to be free, but they shut it down recently. And I know a lot of students have to deal with that. It's like, wish I could find a way of showing it on a stream here. But if you never have any issue with that or anything with biochem, just let me know.
Ooh, gotcha. Okay, I will make sure to then.
I'm just giving you a hookup here, because if not, you'll get fucked with like fucking $20 million in debt through trying to buy a bunch of textbooks on bullshit.
I've just been using that as much as I can. Anna's Archive, just get whatever textbooks I can there. I got at least 2 of them for free. So.
Yep. Just yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I did that right. Wait.
What was that?
I currently have ISO speed running through my city right now, so I'm kind of like.
Oh my gosh. Nice. What was that? Have that one. Oh, and then I forgot what I was gonna say. No, well, never mind. Oh. Oh, I'm going to the in Missouri. There'll be like a Missouri State Highway Patrol Expo on Thursday, which is why I'm going to there. I'm going to that on so Thursday to talk to a bunch of different people there to see all what's like 60 plus apparently like career job opportunity things there. They have the Missouri like state lab, like the lab division there, which are the people I want to go bother and ask questions with.
Oh yeah, that's the entire point of those.
Yeah.
Don't get sucked in. Just scope it out. Like
Mhm.
it's like you're like a sniper sort of thing, and
Yeah.
you find where you need to go, you do it.
That was
sort
what my
of
mom
thing.
was. She goes, Ryan, don't let them recruit you to be like a police officer there or something. I'm like, okay, I won't.
No, you're gonna deal with like if you're doing forensics, that's all you're gonna be dealing with so many people, and trust me, you'll get sick of it very quickly.
Mhm.
So you don't want to don't get recruited because he's at Missouri, right? Missouri.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was in Georgia. It was like GSP and shit and all that. Yeah. No, fucking go to those. Just try to pull out as much information as possible without signing anything.
That's
like,
basically trying what I'm gonna try and do. Yeah. I was looking at like, okay, so if I were to, go ahead and finish, when I finish my degree and all that, what could I technically get a job right out of the bat with? The only thing that I have access to that I could go straight for after I'm done with my degree is in latent prints, because that doesn't require a degree in anything that's like science related. So if I want to do in like CODIS, DNA analysis, whatever, any of the other stuff they had there, I would have to have a degree in either forensics, chemistry, biology, one of those type of science areas. The only thing I don't have to have at all is for latent prints. That's only apparently needs a 60 credit hours at an accredited college, which is like, oh, I already have that. Okay, I can do that then. That's like, if I can get my foot in the door there, that's the goal. So
forensics, if you really want like a cheap method, but you have to do it's not really a cheap, it's more like it's like a strategy where you suffer a lot. You can go through places and get recommendations to specific.
Wait, go through the what was it you said?
Just go through different what do you say? I don't know where you live, but go through local PD and you'll just get pushed up and inevitably. It sounds really shitty, but that's like the brute force.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
the brute force method for
yeah.
forensics, sadly, I hate it, but it's just kind of what it is.
VR.
You have to do it constantly in that.
I
And
think
you can be like, well, I actually have this, that, and the other, and this is what I wanted to do. And it's sadly just connections at some level.
It gets you a lot of a push-up, yeah. I mean, our forensics teacher, I forget what his name is. He's been like a death investigator for 20 years, so he's like top of the thing. So the whole goal was at the very beginning of the class. He's like, oh, by the way, I have always have kids, students asking for like, hey, can we use you as like a recommendation for something? He rarely gives those out. He gives them out to a few people each semester from like each class, like just a handful. So that's like the goal.
If you have a loaded roster of different forensic scientists in any manner, then that helps. Obviously, even in the job market. I'd focus more if you have an interest in it. I'd focus more on the academic point than the career point, because the career, like if you do it enough, you'll inevitably just find opportunity. I guarantee.
Yeah. I gotta throw this.
Like I did confidential shit, but I did IT for a minute. I did what do you say? Like I interned at a college called Watsonville Community College. I did the IT shit for them for a minute. I had to make all their databases and whatnot. And I didn't expect it, but I ended up moving that into a meta job through it. So
oh dang,
like just having the opportunity is like massive. The connection, sadly, the social connections kill it if you're actually interested in the course.
Yeah,
how it works and whatnot. But it's all social feedback and finding the right people. If you can get any sort of reference from a forensic professor or anything like that, absolutely try to get that shit.
Yeah, that was the main goal. Yeah, going into it. Killed here. We had tests in that class the other day. So
also, don't kill yourself. That's another one. You're gonna be like stressed out the bitch if you're doing forensics. It's extremely stressful.
Okay, it's not like the worst thing right now. We covered all like the general basis stuff at the moment. We're just now going into biological evidence. I have a total of 5 different classes. So there's chemistry. I also have, on top of that, so I have my forensic science, the main one. I also have a criminal investigations class, research and methodologies, and then a criminal procedure class. The worst one, in terms of like just actual core like workload, is criminal investigation. That one is just.
Well, it's like a pattern of you're trying to identify like a specific pattern of how criminality works, right?
Yeah.
On some level, right?
Yeah.
So it's a completely. It's robust. Is that the right word? Robust. Like it's all over the place. God knows. Like,
Yeah, you have a bunch of your different theories of crime. So you have what's something like routine activities theory. You have I like this one because it's just so simple. Frontal lobe theory, self-control theory. That's just like people who commit crime have an
it goes into
underdeveloped
behavioral
frontal lobe,
psychology.
which is a
If you
crazy
wanted to
thing.
dig
But
in deeper, so if you weren't doing forensics specifically, it would go directly into behavioral psychology. Isn't that kind of funny? Like, so if you
Yeah.
go on that, it's all behavioral psychology at some point, like especially frontal lobe theory and that sort of thing.
it's super interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Sorry, I'll shut up. But yeah, if you need anything when it comes to biochem, just let me know, or just.
Is that I assume is that like your that stuff? I assume then, right? Like that's your good area.
I'll say
So yes, okay, got it. So yes, good to know. Good, perfect. Gotcha. Maybe just did biochemistry or something. That's like 3 or 4 classes like up from where I'm at though. That's like a ways away from me still.
Yeah, if I can show you how it all works out, I think I have you on it. You can just hit me up. It's I guess what if you Wonder? Yeah, Wonder. Yeah, the other one.
Yeah. So. Well, I'll have to,
basically came here to say hi. I don't know.
I'll have to see how it is once I get to that point. Maybe it's easy. Maybe I don't know. I assume it gets way harder, but not my issue right now. That'll be my issue when I get there.
If you're doing like SNPs or like a fucking FBI type shit, it's a bit of a difference. It's like, but every level they'll teach you biochem, and one of the best. Like I have a few sources on it. And I'm glad you at least know how the fucking archive works and everything.
Oh yeah.
You have no idea how many people don't realize.
Dude, that was the first thing I looked up. I saw it on a TikTok, and I'm like, oh okay, I'll try this out. Saved it. Went to the website, downloaded like I think 3 of the textbooks from there, so I was able to opt out of them and get like $150 back. So it's like okay, which I then turned around and used for like more things like goggles for chemistry labs and other stuff. But it still saved money, so I'll take it.
Yep. Yes, sir. 1 second.
Any upcoming videos? I don't have any. Not in the slightest.
Oh.
People in Drain server? Oh, it's just okay.
Dude, you should ask Drain if I can join his server.
But does he not let you? Hold on, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'll go ask. Let's see what he says. Drain, are you here?
Yeah.
King Jax wants to know if he can join your server.
Oh no.
Well, guys, what do you say?
No. If he joins, dude, he's just gonna be racist, bro. Like.
Is that a no?
This is a rare poop head server.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Got it. He said no, you'll be racist if you do. What?
Okay.
What? Because this is a rare poo-poo server. I don't know what the heck that means. I assume he's made like 1,000 servers, and this is the only one that's ever like held on. Wonder what his server list looks like.
Bro, I want to join his server though.
Make a server and don't invite him. Invite everyone else. That's like payback.
Nah.
How long have I been in this round for? 30 minutes? Okay. Oh, I ran out of ammo. Okay. And I can go find a video to watch. The tragic case of Connor Brinley Snyder. OP traps you can build in seconds. I should make like a short video or something though, like just something. I haven't.
You should look at my stream. I'm literally on top of zombies. I'm literally on top of the zombies right now.
Okay, hold on. Let me get to a spot where I like won't get instantly killed.
I'm on Twitch. I'm on Twitch, not YouTube.
Okay, let me look here. Twitch. All right, I'm there. Let's see.
All right,
What does this
look at
look
this. Okay, never mind. I literally
that
just
was
fell down.
so short-lived.
Okay,
Nice.
yeah. I was like, literally, I was running, trying to just run, and I somehow ended on top of the zombies. So yeah, that was cool.
I got my shoes. Let me just both burst out.
Let's see. Okay. I want to get to 255 by. Be cool to get there by the end of the month, but that's what I said last month as well. So I don't know. I guess I also watch JZM's new video. See if it
series
good.
where I'm going to be going through every single Zombies map ever released and teaching you all how you can easily get to round 100, even if you have never done a high round before. In this video,
Wait, for every single...
Welcome everyone to the first episode of a brand new series where I'm going to be going through every single Zombies map ever released and teaching you all how you can easily get to round 100, even if you have never done a high round before. In this video, I'll be covering the map Moon on Black Ops 3. If you want to see more high round tutorials, be sure to subscribe and also leave a comment for which map you want me to cover next. The comment with the most likes will be the next map that I make a tutorial.
Dude, I'm gonna sound tagged or tone. I'm gonna comment that. Hold on. I can't resist the urge. We need a tagged or tone. I don't know how to wait. We need a tagged or toten high round guide. I don't know how to play it. Yeah, I just bought my like no. Bought my likes. What's the 100 emoji? There it is.
Four. Anyway, let's get into.
So funny. What do I... There's nothing to watch on here. What is this?
I get outside to the ambulance bay and all I see is this blue car, older model, and it is just riddled with bullets. The windows are all shot out. I'm like, oh, like shit, this is like legit. Rule one of emergency medicine is you take a quick pause and you look around, make sure it's safe for you to approach the situation. So quick pause, look around, I see one kid standing outside of the car on his phone. And I'm like, okay, he's covered in blood, but he's standing, he's talking. Not priority right now. I look in the back seat, I see a very animated, what looks like a female, and someone that's not moving. So I'm like, bingo, that's my priority. Swing the car door open, and all I see is a kid hunched over, his girlfriend or whoever is freaking out, and it's called agonal respirations, which is, it's end of death breathing. It sounds like Basically, the body trying to get any air into its vital organs. And then I'm like, oh, okay, not good. I pull out my pen light to assess, see if there's any glass so I don't hurt myself. And all I see is brain matter just all over the car. And I'm just like, oh, fuck.
All right, Igor.
Good morning.
Igor, you are, what do you call your profession? What do you do?
I'm an emergency department nurse.
Emergency department nurse.
Yes, sir.
And you work on one of the downtown.
I do. I work downtown Los Angeles, down the street from MacArthur Park.
Oh, well, you're right in the heart of it.
The heart of it. It's an interesting clientele that we get all day and all night in the emergency department.
What kind of people are coming in?
Everyone. So I live, of course, if you're familiar with Los Angeles, right? You have Koreatown right there. You have Chinatown. You have East Hollywood. You have Hollywood. You have, unfortunately, the homeless population of that area. And so we get all of them, sometimes all at once.
I'm sure you've seen people that are on my channel in your
maybe
in your emergency room.
Unfortunately, can't disclose that, but maybe I have.
That's right. I'm certain you have.
Right.
What made you want to get into this field?
You know, they asked that question in nursing school orientation. This was COVID times, pandemic, so Zoom, and the director asked that same question: why do you want to be a nurse? And going around the boxes of everyone's giving these amazing stories of my mom was in the hospital and the nurses were amazing and to get care of her, or I was in the hospital, or my significant other, whatever. And then as they're saying all this, I'm like, do I lie in this moment to sound like I fit in with this group of my future colleagues, or do I say the truth? And I was like, you know what, don't lie, because when you lie, it always comes back to you. And it's my turn to speak, and I said, I just thought I'd be good at it. And that was the true, honest answer, because I was a lifeguard before that. I've been in medical emergencies. I've always performed well in them. Mm-hmm. And when I switched from psychology to nursing, I was like, okay, what am I good at? Chest compressions. Who does chest compressions? Nurses. Let's be a nurse. And that was the segue into nursing.
Good for you.
No.
How old are you?
33.
33.
Yeah.
You're from Russia?
Ukraine, Odessa.
Ukraine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Been here since 2000.
Yeah, people don't name their sons Igor.
No, usually not. I've only met one other one, and he was from Brazil.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So, you, like, what is the majority of the people you'll see? Like addiction stories, or?
It's everyone. It's addiction, it's of course overdoses and drug use, it's heart failure, it's strokes, it's heart attacks. It's in the emergency department, we are the jacks of all trades. I'm expected to know how to respond to every emergency that walks in through that door. And that's your pediatrics, your neonatals, your labor and delivery, like your mothers that are coming in pregnant, giving birth. It's your heart attacks, strokes, your overdoses. I'm expected to know how to respond to all of that. And there's no such thing as a common night. It's from 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 minutes, we'll see an overdose, someone who's in cardiac arrest, and someone who's checked in because they ate too many hot wings. And so it's just complete controlled chaos all night.
How does this job affect your personal life?
It's made me more calm. It's we're on shift for 12 hours at a time, 3 nights a week. And so outside of work, I've calmed down a lot. I've noticed that, like in traffic, someone cuts me off. In the past, I'm like, you know, motherfucker. Now it's just, they have bigger problems to worry about. The rest of my life is calm, relaxed, no stress. But it's also made me reevaluate friendships and relationships. I'm around a lot of death, and so are my colleagues. And in their last moments, no one's asking to see their bank account, to see their trophies, to see their accolades. They're all calling out for family, for friends. They want to see pictures of their loved ones. And so that's made me think, like, yes, it's great to have things, but relationships is what kind of drives us forward.
Yeah, absolutely it does.
Yeah, it's just changed my whole perspective on life and how life is short. I'm heading to the gym after we're done here. Mm-hmm. I can drive off onto Main Street and get into a car accident and pass away in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that's just made me, if I want to do something, I just do it. Obviously, as long as it's safe and only affects me. But I just live my life the way I want to live it and not the way someone says I should.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. When it hits you, it hits hard.
Yeah.
Especially when it hits close to home.
Yeah. And it's just being around that with me and my colleagues. We just all tight knit together, and then when we're outside of work, they all have families and kids, etc. But it's all very family. Let's spend time together. How are you? It's time off social media. It's all very in the moment living.
What do you think of the fentanyl epidemic?
Oh, it's horrible. It is absolutely horrible.
Because before fentanyl, you know, heroin you could overdose and die, but it was rare.
Yes, yes.
But with fentanyl, it's so common.
It's cheap, and it gets you high. And most of the overdoses that we see is fentanyl. There's classes of overdoses that we see in the emergency department. We have those who were found, let's say, MacArthur Park, I'll use an example. Someone called 911, firefighters showed up, and they gave them a medication called Narcan, also known as naloxone. It's in the field, they use it as a nasal spray. We have IV. Patients already awake, alert by the time they get to the hospital, and usually they either just jump off the medic gurney and walk out, or they get violent and aggressive towards us because someone just killed their high, and then they end up leaving. Or option is they're still very groggy and we monitor them for a few hours, make sure that they don't fall back into an overdose, and then they are discharged back to wherever they live. And of course, option number 3 is they come in and they've overdosed and they've been down for too long, and now we're doing CPR and giving them life-saving medications, hopefully shocking them with a defibrillator, and that's kind of the worst case scenario, is when they end up in the ICU or they don't make it.
And as I learned painfully last week, they're putting fentanyl in all kinds of drugs.
Yes, so in the emergency department, for some reason, it's always things come in clusters. If we see 1 stroke, we're gonna see 3 more. If we see 1 cardiac arrest, we're gonna see 3 more. I don't know, it's like the medical gods, I don't understand it. We had one night when people that were dressed nice were coming in as overdoses. And I mean that in the most respectful way. Usually our overdoses are the homeless population, and they're not dressed nice, but we were getting women in dresses, we were getting men in tuxedos, all testing positive for fentanyl and cocaine. And they were out partying, and what they thought they were doing was cocaine, party drug, as we all know, mixed with fentanyl, and they were just all overdosing. And when they would wake up, they're like, hey, I did cocaine tonight. Last thing I remember is being at this party, having fun, and now I'm here. I don't know what happened. And they're like, hey, you tested positive for fentanyl. And so they're just shocked to learn this. And it's just amazing that they're using multiple drugs and selling it as one thing, and now people are dying from it.
Yeah.
And about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, we had a string of overdoses, just nonstop. And usually for the fire department, they spread the love. They're like, they'll send a few patients to this hospital, this hospital, this hospital. And we later found out that, I don't know how the drug world works, but the manufacturer had different dosages, different syringes of different product. And whoever was at the local park, and they had 8 different syringes, labeled 8 different ways, and they were just coming up to people and injecting them at the park, and then sitting back and watching. Who reacted how? Did this person passed away? This person's really high. This person is freaking out. This person's high. And they were marking down notes of how these different dosages were affecting the people. And the only reason we found that out was the police told us. Like, hey, be prepared, because we're sending you a bunch of overdoses tonight. And on this people, like the Narcan was working, on these it wasn't, so we didn't even know what was in it. It was, some of them were being PCP, fentanyl, cocaine, others it was just a mess.
Just using homeless people as
guinea pigs.
As guinea pigs.
And this job has showed me how inhumane people can be, and how life to someone else, your life doesn't matter. And the people that we were able to resuscitate, they would wake up and say, hey, I do drugs, but I didn't do any today. I don't know why I'm here. And then we examine, and there's a pin mark on their neck or their arm or somewhere. Horrible. And it's just, these dealers just don't care. And with this, and fentanyl especially, it's just non-stop. All night we get the overdoses, and all day. And every hospital in America probably.
And it's probably in other drugs, like even weed, they could probably put it in?
Sometimes. We see, sometimes it's rare, because with weed, it seems like since it's legal now, like here in California, most get it from dispensaries.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem to be
But when
mixed.
you're buying it on the street.
Yeah, but the homeless population, they'll get it mixed with other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to smoke weed. I used it for sleep reasons, and then I became a nurse, and that's no longer allowed. But I would get it from the dispensary, and I was never concerned. But I can imagine from the street that you should be paranoid that it's being mixed with something else.
Yeah. But with drugs like cocaine. It's always coming from the street.
Yeah, you can't buy medical grade cocaine, unfortunately.
No.
And and I know we were talking before we started, and it's just very unfortunate. And this epidemic of drug use it has the hospital at its knees, because we're now focused on things that are preventable versus things that are not, like heart attacks and strokes. And we just get these horrible overdoses that.
Biometric. Oh, hold on. Learned about. Yeah, look at that. I learned about serology today. Testing of bodily fluids. Yeah. Serology. Nuclear DNA. That's new to me. Y chromosome DNA testing. Mitochondrial DNA. I heard of that, but I don't know what the heck that is. Analyses. Ooh. Yep, same with anything. Dude, I recognize that word. Let me find it real quick. Latent prints. American Fingerprint Identification System, or NGI. Ooh, this is a lab analysis request. The latent prints. So, items to be processed for latent prints. Okay. Comparison of latent prints developed. Okay, with known. Okay. Post-mortem identification, so after death comparisons. Okay. And then apicentry. Okay. Toxicology. Trace evidence, which, yeah, so that's there's 1,000 of those. Soil, hair, paints, everything. Interesting. I'm gonna look up what is this soundcloud.com/buy. Shadow Wizard Money Gang. Ooh. It's hot in here. I gotta open a door. I'll be back in a second. Yeah, I should go into the World at War home, be like, "Hi, Tails," and just leave.
Gunners would break, self-identify for like alcoholism or PTSD, and they obviously weren't flying anymore on gunships. Rotate.
Hi, Bejris. Oh, hello. Oh, it's Bejris. Hi, Bejris. Actually, start playing again. This map kind of sucks, dude. I see what I see why Max Moore hated it so much. It's very boring. He's on Blood of the Dead. Dude, he's on like a generational run on that map. He's like 150s plus unrealistic. That guy actually might actually hit infinite normal rounds. Nice feats moved in. Nice, yes. I'm actually gonna attempt to start playing this again. I don't know how long that'll last for. Hopefully longer than 2 days, 3 days. I'm thinking I might only play 2 rounds tonight, though. I've been on Overwatch. I haven't played Overwatch in a while. It's been probably like 9-10 months since I played Overwatch, really. I'm not gonna lie. Once they added perks in-game, they kind of lost me. I kind of wasn't having that much fun. Like, I've also heard Stadium is, like, pretty solid. Honestly, I don't know. I like ranked, you know. But I don't think I'll ever try and play ranked again in that game. Casual is just a lot more fun for me. So, I don't have fun when I'm playing ranked. I like the idea of winning in ranked and climbing ranks. But the actual process of doing that is like the worst thing ever. Yeah, I'll probably just play two rounds tonight. What the heck is on my For You page? Audio of an execution by electric chair? What?
On July 12, 1984, Yvonne Ray Stanley was put to death by the electric chair for the crime of murder. His full execution process was one of several recorded and more or less narrated on audio. Stanley was the 14th person to be executed by electric chair since 1976 when the ban on the death penalty was revoked. He was led into the death chamber at 12:05 a.m. and pronounced dead at 12:24. The full process, including preparation, administering the volts, and a 5-minute body cooling period, took 19 minutes. Take a listen.
This is a recording of the execution of Ivan Ray Stanley, EF 103603, July the 12th, 1984.
Colonel Lowe, Mickey?
Yes.
The witnesses are now entering the witness room.
Okay.
The state witnesses have entered the witness room and have seated themselves on the front row. At this time, the news media witnesses are entering. All witnesses have arrived and have seated. The warden at this time is in the process of confirming all witnesses. All witnesses have been confirmed. The warden is in the process of advising all witnesses that we will now proceed with the court-ordered execution of Yvonne Stanley. Colonel Lowe, Mickey, the execution team is now in the process of escorting the condemned into the execution chamber. He is walking unassisted, walked straight to the chair and is seated himself in it. One of the execution team members is now in the process of securing the back strap. The other members are in the process of securing the arm straps and leg straps. The back strap is secure at this time. Both arm straps are secure at this time. They're still in the process of securing the leg straps. At this time, the condemned has been secured in the chair. He is not moving. He's just sitting there very passively staring out at the witnesses. The superintendent has afforded the condemned an opportunity to make a last statement. He has declined to make a last statement.
Are you ready to tell him?
He has afforded the opportunity for prayer. He declined this also. The condemned is still sitting there very passively, no movement, staring out into the witnesses. The superintendent is still in the process of reading the court order to the condemned. The team is in the process of securing the headset to the condemned. The condemned has offered no resistance throughout. He's just sitting there very passively, not moving. The leg band has been secured to the condemned's right leg, and also the headset has been secured to his head. Perspiration is now being wiped from the forehead of the condemned, and he is secure and ready for execution with the exception of the hood being placed over his head and the wires being attached to the leg band and to the headset. Electrician now has entered the execution chamber and is in the process of securing the wire to the headset.
They're moving very well. It's a good time to do it right now. Marable?
Yes, sir.
Stand still. Mickey, put William Hill on.
Hello?
William? Okay, Attorney General's here.
Okay.
Hill, this is Mike.
Yeah.
Have you got any reason why the execution shouldn't be carried out?
No, I don't.
Thank you.
All right. Colonel Lowe?
Yes.
Mickey, the wires have been attached and secured to the headset and to the leg band. The perspiration has been wiped again from the condemned's forehead, and the hood is being placed on at this time.
Ralph, this is Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
There are no stays. You can proceed to carry out the official order of the court.
Very well. On my count of 3, press your button. 1, 2, 3. Colonel Lowe?
Yes.
Mickey, the execution is now in progress. When it first surge entered his body, he stiffened, and I heard a pop as if one of the straps broke, but I can't tell from this vantage point. He is still at this time sitting there with clenched fists with no other movement. He's slowly relaxing at this time. First phase of the execution is completed. We are now into the second phase. The second phase is completed at this time. We are now into the third and final stage. From my vantage point, it seems that the inmate has relaxed somewhat. His fists are still clenched, but there's no movement from the condemned. There's still no movement from the individual. He's still just sitting there. His third phase completed. We're still into the third phase. Third phase and the execution is completed. We're now into the 5 minutes elapsed time. Colonel Lowe, Mickey, we have now completed 5 minutes lapse time. Stand by for the doctors are now preparing to enter the execution chambers to check for life signs. The first physician has completed his examination. The second is now in the process of making his check. The second doctor has now completed his examination. The third and final doctor is in the process of making his check. The examination is completed. Stand by for the superintendent's time of death and confirmation of death.
Approximately 12:24, July 12, 1984. Full execution of Island Ray Stanley was carried.
The superintendent has advised all witnesses that death did occur at 12:24 this date.
So strange. Oh, I'm going down a rabbit hole. I know I probably shouldn't, but...
On August 12, 1984, Alpha Otis Stevens was put to death by the state of Georgia. His death device was the electric chair, only something went horribly wrong. What the public didn't realize at the time was that the state was making secret audio recordings of executions. His was one of them. No cause for the botched execution has ever been released. Allegedly, the chair was working normally. Yet somehow Stevens remained alive, gasping and struggling after 2 full minutes of a 2080-volt charge, a charge designed to kill. It took 19 minutes from the start of that charge for him to be pronounced dead. Keep in mind that when electrocuted, people typically cannot scream. Every single muscle in the body tenses up. There is little control over movement, if any. Most movements seen are involuntary until after the volts have finished. The absence of screaming doesn't mean that the person is free from pain. In fact, this is one of the more painful ways a person can die, especially for Stevens. In the audio, you will hear about a 5-minute lapse time that happens after the execution process. This is to allow the body to cool down, so it is safe for medics to check for signs of life, because the body does get really piping hot from the process.
Count of 3, pressure.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Wait. Stirred fluoric acid? Wait, what? HF?
Welcome back, I'm That Chemist, and today we have another Chempilation, and we're going to hear more amazing stories from you viewers. But we have a little bit of follow-up from a previous episode. So Sinister Rectus previously pointed out that if the left one is a tertiary alcohol, which one of these should be the tertiary amine? And we have an interesting comment from another viewer that says, I like the argument of tert-butanol makes tert-butylamine a tertiary amine, but on the contrary, if triethylamine is a tertiary amine, does this make dimethyl ether a secondary alcohol? And so here's our secondary amine, here's our tertiary amine, here's our primary alcohol. Therefore, by that logic, dimethyl ether would be a secondary alcohol. So we definitely have some work to do because our nomenclature definitely is not that sound. What do you think? Let me know down below. Technically not research, but by far my favorite lab story is from OChem 1 as an undergraduate TA at a small teaching university. We are so small that we usually only graduate approximately 15 chemistry and biochem majors per year, and 10 to 15 of those are pre-med students, so it's safe to say that there weren't any chem nerds in the class. This was their first time using actual glassware, with ground glass joints, and they were doing a classic fractional distillation with 1922 kits and steel wool packing. I was just doing my thing. No, the still head goes at the other end of the condenser. I believe you're looking for a round bottom flask. The classic, that's called a Clyston adapter. So basically what they're doing here is they're just pointing out to students, this is what this piece of glassware is for, this is how you use it, etc. Actual quotes. I noticed a student having a particularly rough go of it, and decided to give them a hand. As I picked up one of the pieces of glassware, I immediately noticed that it was sticky. That is never a good sign if you're handling glassware. Clearly the last person to use this kit failed to properly clean off the grease, or one of them, let me just finger paint grease people. So sometimes when people are putting grease onto joints, what you'll do is you'll put it onto like a finger of your glove and apply it to the inside of the...
I don't know what I'm listening to, man. I'm just gonna go to... something else. Oh! Okay. Ooh. Oh, I got a max ammo, that's right. Okay. I completely forgot about that. Well, let me find another video to watch. What is it like being dependent on fentanyl? Good watch, maybe, I don't know. Only 21 more rounds to go, thankfully. And then I'll be just about halfway to 300. Just about, I think just over halfway to 300. All right. Okay. Now. I wonder if I would... No, I'd probably get copyright from YouTube if I did that, if I tried playing music. Although I don't know, there's this one video I shouldn't technically get copyright from, because if that's still up on YouTube and I'm not monetizing anything, then I should technically be okay. I never really ever notice it anymore. "11 by 11 by 11 Rubik's Cube solved blindfolded in an hour and 13 minutes. Why am I getting ads? No. Here's a song.
What am I doing? Tell me how I'm supposed to get by again. Are we getting into it? I think I might have lost all the will to pretend. I wanna keep moving, but everything's changed and I don't know open your mouth out, take it away now. So tell me more, tell me more. I'm not even ever noticing it anymore. Tell me more, tell me more. I'm not even ever noticing it anymore. Hit me with the rumors, tell me how to feel, tell me how to. To compete with, guess that's something I should deal with. I've been caught up in my feelings and can't seem to see the reason. We've been choked to keep from screaming. We've been ghosting to believe in being eroded by the seasons, but we're human in the evening. So tell me more, tell me more. I'm not even ever noticing it anymore. Tell me more, tell me more. I'm barely even ever noticing it anymore.
Whenever I play classics on it, I like always go to at least 120.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like sometimes you gotta use rags, but
Yeah. I think that game.
very important to drop your drags there. Drop your.
Considering I missed the bug, I think the Megas was 32.5. It could have been.
Oh yeah.
Could be a good 16 minutes faster if I got that bug.
Dude, I wanted to see fucking Zombie Dog get that any percent 255, but he fucking like G-spawned or he Thunder Gun crashed or something. There's some weird crash, like it didn't even make sense. He shot T-Gun at the trap, I think. Yeah, I don't know how he crashed from that. It's funny how that that Thunder Gun crash kind of exists on BO4 with the Tundra Gun. If you shoot a full horde at the sandbag or like inside the window with the Tundra Gun, you'll fucking crash.
Wait, hold on.
Pretty frequently.
Don't remind me.
It's fine if you don't shoot like a full horde. It's weird. You can shoot like in my 339 that I died on. Whenever I was using Secret Shopper, I would just stand at the window and like shoot over and over and over, basically, whenever there was zombies.
Yeah.
I never crashed.
It's weird the effect it gives on the further back zombies when you shoot the Thunder Gun far back and they come out the window and fall over.
Yeah.
It's very handy, like having the trap on and swapping between that and dead wire to charge rag. It's really handy.
Yeah, it never really clicked with me that like. I always assumed that you did that just because it's faster than full hoarding with the T-Gun, but you're actually getting more kills with the T-Gun doing that. Because the whole time you're standing there, like all the zombies are just dying to the trap, and then like you're shooting a few zombies and then dead wiring them.
Yeah, it's like the perfect time.
So you're actually getting more kills.
It was actually Ganon that told me to watch his gameplay for that, because I was struggling with classics and he was like, you can camp the whole way with classics. And he told me to watch his
Yeah,
gameplay,
I
and
couldn't.
that-
I've never been able to.
I managed to, but it was RNG at the same time.
Oh, it's yeah, definitely gonna need good luck. You gotta not screw yourself with like
I think it was a 30.
not getting 4 drops in one round. I don't know what I.
Unreleased ID, not me, 10 years ago. Okay, I'm gonna watch this. I think I used to watch this person
Welcome back to my channel for another execution method video.
Dude, I used to watch this person a wee while back. Like, I'm talking like 2.5 years ago when I first started like doing high rounds. No way.
Oh, last time I covered the electric chair and reached the conclusion that it is potentially the most painful of all modern methods, but today's is a serious rival. As a whole, it causes the most suffering for the longest period. I am talking about the gas chamber. This content will involve graphic depictions of death and may be upsetting to some. Viewer discretion advised.
Okay.
The way that this method was first adopted is pretty unbelievable. All the way back in 1921, the state of Nevada began thinking up different ways to replace the gallows. After watching those executions go so wrong so many times, they knew that they had to find something that would be more humane. My theory on this matter is that they weren't so concerned about truly making it humane, but making it at least appear that way. To be frank, they were tired of traumatizing witnesses. After a few good brainstorming sessions, they arrived at the idea of lethal gas. They began doing a little research to try and gauge what kind of gas would be best. They knew that they needed something readily available, cost-effective, and fairly easy to use. This led them to hydrogen cyanide. Hydrogen cyanide had been used for this and that for some time, but most notably it was used by France and the US in World War I with decent success. So a couple of years went by and the state was given their very first human guinea pig. Ji John was a member of the Hip Sing Tong Criminal Society and was convicted of murdering an elderly member. He was tried and found guilty right around the time that the state began the process of adopting a new method. By the time his death date approached, they weren't exactly ready, so they opted to fake it until they made it. They had no chamber and no protocol. Somewhere along the road, someone came up with the ridiculous idea to just gas him in his cell while he slept. He was not given a heads up. It was meant to be a complete surprise. In their minds, it would be more humane if he didn't see it coming, which makes sense to some degree. So one night while John was fast asleep, they used a hose to release copious amounts of hydrogen cyanide into his cell.
What?
The first problem that they encountered was the fact that this wasn't a cell behind glass. It had bars. The gas went in and then wafted right back out. The next problem was the danger. Because the gas wasn't well contained within an airtight chamber, it put prison employees at risk. It was a complete bust, to say the least. This led everyone back to the drawing board, only now they understood that they needed to construct some form of a chamber. They did just that. They created the very first protocol of the gas chamber. It was put together inside of the prison butcher shop. The next step was for the state to gain possession of enough gas to cause death. This was a little tricky. There was only one company in the Western Hemisphere that could provide enough, only they refused to transport it due to the dangers. So a few prison employees hopped in their vehicles and took a road trip to LA to pick it up themselves. By February 8th, 1924, the gas chamber and its contents were ready and waiting to usher John into death. He was strapped into a wooden chair and secured into the 11-foot-long chamber. A tiny window offered a glimpse into the process for witnesses. At 9:40 a.m., a pump sprayed about 4 pounds of hydrocyanic acid, which is a solution of hydrogen cyanide and water. This try came along with its own hiccups. Outside, it was cold and humid and their electric heater failed. This left the chamber at a chilly temp of 52 degrees Fahrenheit. The ideal temperature would have been around 75. This caused some of the solution to pool on the floor rather than waft up where John could inhale it. No worries though, because the amount of gas that they released was more than enough. It was actually overkill. John slumped down in the chair and appeared to lose consciousness in just seconds. He continued to slightly bob his head up and down for several minutes, but all in all, it got the job done. Naturally, the process evolved over time. States found more effective ways to set up their chambers, but across the board in the US, hydrogen cyanide was the gas of choice. But was it a good choice? Well, not exactly, not if a humane end is the goal. Nothing illustrates the horrifying effects of this systemic toxin the way that the very botched execution of Jimmy Lee Gray did. Once you hear about this utter nightmare, you might be inclined to feel sorrow for Jimmy Lee Gray. Let me help with that a little. Jimmy Lee Gray was about as bad as it gets. When
Okay.
he was at the young
Like
age
how
of
she's
just
trying
18
to
years old, he strangled his
minimize,
16-year-old girlfriend, Elda Prince, to death. The pair were walking home when they got into an argument.
Strangulation, that comes with a fractured hynoid, hynoid bone? I don't know. That's what it's called though. That's typically what you see fractured in strangulations. With at least I mean hands is strangulation. Ligature is when it's with a rope or something?
After the fact, he concealed her body near the Colorado River. When Elda didn't return home, her mother reported her missing. What did Jimmy do? He helped with the search. Luckily, police saw right through him and hauled him in for questioning. Jimmy buckled and admitted to what he had done. Here's the thing though, Jimmy only served 6 years before being paroled and released. Just 2 years later, a 3-year-old girl vanished from the apartment complex where he resided. Witnesses came forward saying that they had spotted her with a man who fit Jimmy's description. He was once again questioned and he spilled the truth. He had taken the girl into his car, assaulted her, and threw her body in the river. On September 2nd, 1983, Jimmy was scheduled to be executed. He enjoyed his last meal of Mexican food and strawberries paired with a cold glass of milk. He was allowed the company of 5 ministers who brought along their own pizza, as if to have their own little dinner party. Once the witnesses were seated, he was beckoned from his cell and ushered into the small chamber. This chamber was far different from the makeshift version built in a prison butcher shop. It almost appeared like a claustrophobic, bulky safe. It was an intimidating sight. He was asked to take a seat in his death chair and was secured with restraints. They buckled around his waist, chest, arms, and legs. The one thing that appeared to be missing was the restraint designed to keep his head in place. It was something that had been utilized in previous similar executions. Jimmy was read his execution order and offered his last rite. He kept his head down and eyes shut the entire time. It was time to proceed. At 12:12 a.m., the door was shut to the airtight chamber. A window revealed a ticket to the impending show for the about 15 witnesses. Beneath Jimmy's death chair was a pail filled with sulfuric acid. The executioner pulled a lever from outside, which released cyanide crystals into the solution. The reaction was near immediate. When combined, the chemical reaction releases hydrogen cyanide gas into the air. Because it is occurring directly beneath the chair, the plumes rise up and envelope the face and body of the condemned. In just seconds, the bystanders watched Jimmy draw in a labored gasp. This was his first big taste of the poison. It flooded into his mouth, airways, and lungs. His nostrils burned with the pungent aroma of musty, sweet almonds, and his taste buds were singed with the flavor of pure burning. Prisoners are instructed beforehand to take many deep breaths of the gas. It is meant to speed up the process. But when each inhale lights a fire and seems to release pure acid onto your soft tissue, it's pretty difficult as a human to bring yourself to do such a thing. Jimmy began writhing in agony. He struggled hard against his restraints. His face became the hue of a ripe tomato and his jugular vein pumped up and appeared to pulsate before witnesses' eyes. Their jaws were all on the floor. He flailed as hard as he could. It was obvious that he was fighting the urge to breathe or gasp, but it was futile. At one point, it appeared that he resigned to the idea of just drinking it in. He gasped another 10 times in quick succession. But see, this is why hydrogen cyanide is not humane. With each gasp, he was welcoming more and more of it into his body. Sure, it was possibly bringing death closer, but it was also burning him alive from the inside out and vice versa. This gas really does attack a human being systemically. It erodes the flesh, eyes, and lips, but it also wages a war internally. It causes calamity for the cells. It interrupts their ability to even utilize whatever oxygen remains. That means that it is attacking every single organ in the body. Meanwhile, it is also burning a lot of the internal tissue as well. The best comparison that I can make is that it is as if you are swallowing and aspirating acid, all while being lit on fire externally. That fire starts off somewhat contained, but the longer the exposure continues, the hotter and more furious it grows.
That
Before you
is
know
a
it,
new-
it feels like you are being consumed by licking white flames. Only, unlike being lit on fire, it isn't going to shut down your nerves. It isn't truly burning you that deeply. Once a person obtains third-degree burns or more, the nerves aren't operating at full capacity any longer. The pain dulls a little. That isn't the case here. For every single witness in the room before him, his misery was tangible. They could sense it in his movement and face. It screamed from his clenched fists, bulging veins, and reddened eyes. After the 11 total gasps escaped from Jimmy's mouth, he began moaning. They were moans unlike those of the living, unlike those who are not on the precipice of death. They were guttural and animalistic. They crescendoed into a wail. Believe it or not, this wasn't even the worst of it. The only part of Jimmy that had a little room for movement was his head and neck. His body was held in tight by the restraints. He turned to look at a metal pole that was nearby. This was perhaps his final act of reason. In moments, he began smashing his face and head feverishly into the metal, each hit harder than the last. In the movies, it only takes one really great blow. Not here. The witnesses couldn't believe the horror that they had consented to watching. As the cherry red of his face became distorted by a deeper red and purple, they wondered what it would finally take to put this man out. It really calls into perspective that human life isn't so delicate after all. This man before them was drinking in poison and enduring traumatic brain injury, but still wouldn't go into death. After the blows to his head created what looked like a massacre, yet still continued, all witnesses were hurried out of the room. It was the 8-minute mark. Jimmy wasn't dead. He wasn't even unconscious. Despite it being a right, nobody was allowed to bear witness to his actual death. Later on, prison employees tried to spin a fable to the media. They claimed that Jimmy suffered a fatal heart attack at the 3-minute mark. The witnesses all knew better. There were zero signs of a fatal heart attack taking form. They knew that he was still moaning, breathing, suffering at 8 minutes. I am sure that the state hoped that the chatter of the truth would all fade away. It didn't. The gas chamber was still used in some states after this horrible occurrence. For some reason, Arizona in particular is especially harsh with putting prisoners to death. They continued using it until 1999, long after other states shelved it. They are even teasing the idea of bringing it back now to replace lethal injection. Unlike the dark hearts of Arizona, some states are looking into a backup plan of lethal gas. Only now they know better than to utilize something as harsh as hydrogen cyanide. In 2015, Oklahoma adopted nitrogen-induced hypoxia as a method on standby. It basically involves forcing the condemned to breathe in only nitrogen until their organs are starved of all oxygen, causing death. This method doesn't cause a sensation of burning alive. It doesn't cause eyes to pop out of their sockets. It basically causes the person to slowly lose coordination, balance, and movement. Clarity eventually fades away. It's nowhere near as harrowing as the previous methods. A couple of other states followed suit, although not a single one has actually used this method to execute someone. They don't appear to have their ducks in a row yet. Much like the electric chair, the gas chamber can also cause a prisoner's eyes to pop out of their sockets. Skin turns pure red and then to purple as the gas invades their system. The lungs' delicate tissue is especially easy prey for the gas's effects, causing them to sear, at first with each gasp and later constantly. Imagine inhaling smoldering embers into your lungs and you might get a close idea of how it would feel. On top of the burning agony, the prisoner is also actively suffocating. You are throwing in the horrors of asphyxiation with similar effects to burning alive. The gas is surrounding them, making it impossible to breathe in anything besides it. You might be thinking to yourself that you would just hold your breath until you pass out. Believe me, people have tried. It's near impossible. Much like drowning to death, there is a breaking point where breathing is no longer a voluntary act. As you keep your mouth shut, the carbon dioxide levels in your blood are rising and oxygen is plummeting. Once the carbon dioxide transcends the oxygen level, your brain will trigger a completely involuntary breath. It is trying to save you. Unfortunately, it doesn't realize that it will actually kill you in this scenario, much like drowning. That point on average typically occurs around the 87-second mark. There are some people who have been able to master this. Divers, for instance, are one of them. They are able to train themselves to hold their breath for what feels like an impossible amount of time. Of course, this isn't a skill that would save them from the gas chamber, it would only prolong the ordeal. Eventually, you will be forced to attempt to breathe, which will welcome the poison into your system. Trying this would also prolong the suffering. All the while that you are trying to hold your breath, the gas is still affecting your eyes and skin. It's also absorbing through it. In short, there is no escaping the gas chamber. Another very unsettling issue with a gas chamber is that no matter how wrong it goes, there is no way to intervene. Once the process is set in motion, that's it. It isn't safe for anyone to enter the chamber for at least 30 minutes. It's just a done deal. However it goes is how it will go. It is what it is. It's kind of like a mystery prize of executions. Whether the inmate dies in as little as 6 minutes or not for much longer, it just has to play out. After the unforgiving process and the 30-minute lapse time, orderlies enter the chamber in protective gear. They tussle the hair and clothing to release any trapped gas and remove the body. I am sure all of this still happened with Jimmy Lee Gray. We just have no idea how much longer he was truly alive after those first horrifying 8 minutes. We also don't know if anything was done wrong with this execution. We do know that he was missing his head restraint, but we don't know if something happened with the gas, causing death to be delayed. It will likely remain a great mystery of Mississippi. They are clearly uninterested in telling us the truth. I am sure, after all of that, you understand why I believe that this modern method causes the most suffering for the longest. At least with the electric chair, there is a chance that the first jolt will knock the person unconscious. With lethal injection, the first drug might do its job and at the very least render the person into a twilight state. With firing squad, they might hit the target, causing death swiftly. With this, there is no way to end suffering quickly. It takes anywhere from 6 to 12 minutes for the person to die. In the very first gas chamber execution, John faded quickly, but that was due to the level of gas used. That would be too expensive to repeat. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Feel free to drop any requests for execution methods or deaths in my comments.
Guys, let me know your execution method requests. Lethal injection is somewhat... Okay, you know what?
On the 29th of April 2014, a prisoner named Clayton Lockett is scheduled to undergo the death penalty by lethal injection in Oklahoma State Penitentiary. Many would call it justice. The man condemned to die is responsible for some pretty nasty stuff. And
Screen turned off for a second. Oh, what the heck is with my screen? Okay, the bottom was like not correct for a second. Alright, seems good now? Alright, cool.
1999, he took the life of 19-year-old Stephanie Naiman, who endured unspeakable suffering under Lockett before being shot twice in the chest with a shotgun and then buried alive to expire from her wounds. Deserved as it may be, though, Mr. Lockett isn't too pleased about the whole ordeal, and he spends the day refusing to cooperate with his executioners. Things get so out of hand that at one point the prison staff have to taser him into submission. Later that day, he'll even try to cut himself open in order to bleed out before his execution and avoid enduring the lethal injection. It will, however, all be for naught. By 6 PM, he had been successfully strapped into a gurney, which effectively restrained him so that the procedure could begin. But unfortunately for everyone involved, this is not an orderly conclusion to an otherwise eventful day. Actually, it's just the beginning of an absolute horror story, as the procedure goes wrong in nearly every way imaginable. Lethal injection typically works by injecting 3 separate drugs intravenously into the victim while they're restrained in a gurney. The first drug, usually sodium thiopental or pentobarbital, induces a state of unconsciousness in the victim within about 30 seconds, and in the doses required for the lethal injection, it's so potent that it will eventually cause death by depressing respiratory activity. But in order to ensure death every single time, 2 more drugs are administered. The second is pancuronium or vecuronium bromide, which further suppresses breathing activity by paralyzing the diaphragm and other respiratory muscles. And then finally, the third drug, potassium chloride, is administered, which is the heart stopper. It causes an abnormal heartbeat and ultimately death by cardiac arrest. The first drug essentially knocks you out so you don't suffer, and the next 2 ensure that you die while you're unconscious. Well, that's how it works on paper. It's designed to be the most humane way to apply the death penalty, but in reality, it doesn't always go to plan, as in the case of Clayton Lockett. The first difficulty that staff faced during the procedure was that they were unable to insert an IV needle into any of Lockett's veins, trying first at the forearms, then at the biceps. When the paramedic was unable to successfully implant the IV, she asked for the help of a doctor named Johnny Zelmer to assist her. The mere fact that a qualified doctor who had sworn the Hippocratic Oath to do no harm was involved in the application of the death penalty remains an incredibly controversial detail. But with the help of the doctor, there were 3 more failed attempts to attach the IV. First, to the jugular vein in Lockett's neck. The next 2 attempts came to the left foot, then another failure at the subclavian vein next to the collarbone, and then finally, after 8 separate failed attempts, they were finally able to insert the IV into the femoral vein in Lockett's groin.
Oh, no.
Lockett's execution was scheduled to begin at 6 p.m. It was now 6:20 p.m, and they had only just managed to insert an IV. Although it's difficult to feel sorry for Clayton given his previous crimes, I think we can all agree that that's a long time to wait for the inevitable, and it's about to get worse. At this stage, the curtain is drawn so that the witnesses can see Clayton alone in the room, strapped to the gurney and with the IV in his groin. While all of this was happening, a spokesman for the Oklahoma Corrections Department named Jerry Massey explained to the witnesses that they were using a different combination of drugs for this execution, and that they were switching out the first drug, the sedative pentobarbital, for something else called midazolam. "Don't be surprised," he said, "if the new sedative takes a little longer to take effect. This decision will have consequences." Lockett was then asked if he had any final words, to which he responded, no. Then, at 6:23 p.m, the execution began with the injection of the new sedative, midazolam. By 6:30 p.m, 7 minutes after the drug was administered, Lockett's eyes were closed, with his mouth slightly open, but his executioners had already felt something wasn't quite right. The prison warden, Anita Trammell, stood over the man in the gurney before declaring, "Mr. Lockett is not unconscious." Another setback, and so the procedure was put on hold for 3 minutes to wait and see how the midazolam would affect Lockett. By 6:33 p.m, with his head resting towards the witnesses, he was declared unconscious, and the following 2 drugs were injected: vecuronium bromide to suppress breathing, and potassium chloride to stop the heart. At 6:36 p.m, around 3 minutes after these were injected, Lockett began to shake violently on the gurney before raising his head and trying to speak in a quiet but terrified voice. His exact words are contested by the eyewitnesses, but they were either, "Oh man, I'm not," or "Something's wrong." At this site, the warden ordered that the blinds be closed, and this was the last thing that the witnesses were able to observe. The torment itself, however, would go on for much longer. At 6:37 p.m, Lockett struggled to raise himself from the gurney before collapsing back down with a loud exhale. A lawyer present at the execution would go on to remark that it looked like torture, and to an extent, it was. If you remember, Oklahoma State Penitentiary had switched out the first drug for sedation, and so midazolam was used instead of the usual pentobarbital. Midazolam is not an anesthetic, it's a sedative, and so although Lockett was drowsy and paralyzed, he was not unconscious or anesthetized. He was lucid for the entire procedure and would have been able to experience the usual level of pain that one would when unmedicated. Once the next drug entered his body, he would have slowly felt himself become paralyzed as the vecuronium bromide inched up his blood vessels and spread from his groin to his chest, where it would take effect on the diaphragm, intercostal muscles, and anything else that you need to respire. He was, in real time and whilst fully conscious, feeling himself asphyxiating as his lungs gradually refused to draw in each desperately needed breath. It would have felt like being buried alive from the inside. And then the next drug came, potassium chloride, which is the heart stopper. Potassium chloride works by upsetting the delicate balance of potassium and sodium inside your heart, and when these fall out of whack, you're unable to maintain a regular heartbeat. So when that balance is disrupted by an enormous dose of potassium chloride, cardiac arrest is inevitable. This means that, again, while still alive and conscious, Lockett would have essentially experienced the agony of a heart attack, all whilst being unable to talk, groan, or even gasp for air, because let's remember, his lungs are paralysed. It gets worse though, because potassium chloride is extremely painful once in the body, as the high concentrations of potassium ions activate nerve receptors inside the veins of the patient, which scream pain signals to the brain. Some doctors have even described the sensation of potassium chloride in the bloodstream as being like liquid fire coursing through your veins. Inch by inch, section by section of agonizing burning until it finally reaches your heart and finishes the job. All of this, of course, sounds utterly terrifying, and it does still actually somehow manage to get worse for Lockett. But first, many of you may be wondering why they switched out the procedure and used midazolam instead of the usual
budget cuts,
pentobarbital.
probably.
And here's where things get kind of interesting. See, when a lot of these pharmaceutical companies, especially those in the EU, found out that their drugs were being used for executions, they didn't like it. Most of them halted the supply of these products to the US until they were assured that they wouldn't be used for the application of the death penalty. Since the US healthcare system relies on lots of these drugs for routine procedures and the business of saving lives, assurances were made and the US justice system lost its supply of pentobarbital. In response, individual states started to secretly stockpile their own sources of sedatives and anesthetics to be used in the lethal injection. Things got so bad that at one point the Drug Enforcement Agency was raiding state pharmaceutical inventories to make sure they weren't breaking the rules on using drugs for the death penalty, such as in 2011 where the DEA confiscated the state of Georgia's supply of UK-manufactured sodium thiopental, a sedative, because it hadn't yet been approved by the FDA and it was scheduled for use on death row inmates. Midazolam entered the scene as a suitable and available alternative to these foreign anesthetics, but as you and I now understand, this was not an appropriate substitute, so much so that within 3 weeks of Lockett's execution, some states even banned the use of midazolam in the euthanizing of animals because it was considered so inhumane and painful. Now, it's important to remember that the death penalty is not euthanasia. Euthanasia is the ending of a patient's life in order to reduce suffering, and is only euthanasia when it's used in the patient's best interests. The death penalty, on the other hand, is a punitive act, which is not used because it's in the prisoner's interest, but because it's in the state's interest. As such, you can quite easily make the argument that it doesn't need to be humane to the same degree that euthanizing animals is. But it's worth bearing in mind that the whole point of the death penalty by lethal injection is that it's supposed to be humane and painless and dignified, and was brought in to replace the barbarity of frying someone alive on the electric chair or having their chest blasted open by firing squad. But so far, the lethal injection seems far worse than these other more barbaric forms of execution, and it's also unreliable. On average, 7% of executions by lethal injection are botched, compared to just 3% by hanging, 2% by the electric chair, and 0% by firing squad. One last detail that I'd like you to consider is that despite everything you've heard about Lockett's execution, it wouldn't actually qualify as botched by this stage because the use of midazolam was standard procedure. It was, however, grim as it is, about to get far worse. If we remember, Clayton Lockett received his first injection of midazolam at 6:23 p.m. By 6:36 p.m., 13 minutes after the sedative, Lockett then received the last 2 drugs, which stopped the heart and lung function. Death usually occurs within 7 minutes after the last 2 drugs are administered, which means that by 6:43 p.m., Lockett should have been pronounced dead. In reality, he wouldn't die until another 30 minutes had passed, and the whole time, he was in even worse agony than I had previously described. You see, up until now, we've been operating under the assumption that the drugs were delivered intravenously by an IV needle inserted in the femoral vein at his groin. But unfortunately for Lockett, at some stage between the IV being secured and the injection of the drugs, there was a problem with the IV line in his groin, and nobody noticed it because it was hidden under a privacy cloth. This meant that instead of the drugs entering his bloodstream as intended, they simply sank into the tissue around the groin, or didn't enter his body at all. This is why it took him a full 13 minutes to show signs of unconsciousness, despite receiving a dosage that should have knocked him out within less than minutes. And then he was finally able to struggle against his restraints and talk to the staff to tell them that there was something wrong, despite having been just pronounced unconscious. The midazolam wasn't properly in his bloodstream. The staff then sat and waited as Lockett convulsed in his gurney, trying to speak out, half paralysed as his face twisted in agony. The lethal drugs were still killing him, but instead of being delivered directly to the heart and lungs via the bloodstream, they were simply pooling into the flesh around his groin and slowly inching their way up the body and towards the major organs. I mentioned earlier that potassium chloride is extremely painful when in the body, and I will leave you to imagine the excruciating pain this would have inflicted as it soaked into that very sensitive area of flesh in and around the groin. After nearly 20 minutes of watching this horrifying sight unfold, the staff finally began to ask questions about why Lockett wasn't dying and why he was showing signs of immense suffering. And so when one of the doctors investigated to see what had gone wrong, they discovered that IV, which was not properly connected, either because it had fallen out of the blood vessel or that Lockett's vein itself had collapsed. At this stage, Oklahoma Department of Corrections Director Robert Patton was informed by the doctor that the IV line had failed and that the drugs had either been absorbed into the tissue or leaked out completely. Patton then asked the doctor if Lockett had at least received enough of the drug to kill him, to which the doctor replied, no, and then the director was informed that they didn't have any drugs left over in order to finish the job. As a result, at 6:56 p.m, the execution was officially halted, about 20 minutes after Lockett had received his excruciating dose of lethal poison directly into his inner thigh. There was a brief discussion between prison officials on whether or not they should take Lockett to hospital in order to try and get him help, but before they could make a decision, the poison was able to leak into Lockett's system and he suffered a fatal heart attack and was pronounced dead at 7:06 p.m, a whopping 43 minutes after the procedure had began. As a result, they actually postponed another execution, which was scheduled to take place 2 hours later using the very same procedure. But they wanted to stop and make sure everything was fine and that they could figure out what the problem with the procedure was. The fault, however, was determined to be the IV line, which failed due to Lockett's collapsed vein, and no blame was given to the unique cocktail of drugs which had, at that stage, been untested. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that Clayton Lockett was reluctant to cooperate with his executioners on the big day, and what I didn't tell you is that the reason he behaved this way was because he was utterly terrified. Shortly before the execution, Lockett's stepmother, named LaDonna Hollins, was reported to have said, "I want to know what mixture of drugs are you going to use now? Is this instant? Is this going to cause horrible pain? I know he's scared." He said he's not scared of the dying as much as the drugs administered. It would turn out that Lockett was right to be afraid. His execution couldn't have been more painful. Despite the enormous public horror that the case of Lockett produced, it was far from the last case in which the lethal injection had gone wrong, and it certainly wasn't the first. In 2006, a man named Angel Diaz was subjected to the lethal injection in Florida. Like Clayton Lockett, there had been an error with the IV line, meaning that the drugs were simply dumped into his tissue rather than his bloodstream. A second dose was then administered, and after 35 minutes of suffering, he was pronounced dead. Again, in 2014, Dennis McGuire was subjected to lethal injection. His death took more than 25 minutes, and according to reports, he was seen gasping for air, choking and snorting for 10 to 13 minutes after the drugs had been administered. Now, I know what you're thinking, that all of these are either outlier cases that were botched, or they're cases that include the use of midazolam, rather than the much more effective and typical pentobarbital or sodium thiopental. Well, as fortune would have it, in 2005, a group of University of Miami researchers and a death row attorney published a letter in The Lancet. In the article, they investigated toxicology reports from Arizona, Georgia, North and South Carolina, and found that post-mortem concentrations of sedatives in the blood were lower than that required for surgery in 88% of executed inmates, and that nearly half of all inmates had concentrations consistent with awareness, meaning that they would have felt every ounce of suffering possible as the chemical cocktail burns its way to the heart, paralyzing the body along the way. Now remember, this study was measuring the good drugs, thiopental and pentobarbital, which actually induce a state of unconsciousness in the victim. But in recent years, midazolam, the same drug used on Clayton Lockett, has become the go-to substance, which, to say again, is not an anesthetic, but a sedative. As of today, there are still 7 states in the US which practice the death penalty with the use of midazolam as standard procedure. As for the lethal injection itself, there are 28 states in the US where it's practiced, but it's also used in China, Vietnam, Thailand, Nigeria, Guatemala, and the Maldives. Anyway, that's the lethal injection, designed to be a humane alternative to more crude methods of execution, but in reality...
Interesting.
Nicolas Jacques Pelletier was marched from his cell to a scaffold above the Hôtel de Ville in Paris. He was a known highwayman and was about to be put to death for a robbery in which at least one man was killed. By the day of his execution, Pelletier had actually already spent the last 6 months in prison, while the authorities argued about how they should put him to death. See, a law in late 1791 had been passed which made decapitation the only legal method of capital punishment. Some argued that Pelletier should have his head cut from his body by an axeman, as was traditional, but many argued that a new method could be used, a brand new machine called a guillotine, which was supposedly more effective and more reliable than any human executioner. But at this stage, it had only been used on animals and corpses. The High Executioner of France, Charles-Henri Sanson, recommended the guillotine, and his words were taken seriously. On the 23rd of March, it was made official that Pelletier was to be put to death by guillotine, and so on the 25th of April, he was to be the first man ever to die at the hands of this contraption. At least, that's if it would work on a living subject. By 3 p.m. that day, a large crowd had gathered and were waiting curiously to see this new toy be put to use. By 3:30 p.m., Pelletier, wearing a red shirt, was marched towards the guillotine. High Executioner Sanson took Pelletier, forced his body prone onto the table, and then fed his head through the opening. so that the blade was lined up to fall on his neck. Within just seconds, Pelletier was in place and the blade fell clean through, leaving his head to thud into a basket below. The machine had worked. A success. But the crowd were not impressed. Sanson, who had by now taken part in hundreds of executions, was stunned to see that the spectators in the street were screaming abuse at the guillotine and himself, and were crying maniacally about how much they hated the whole affair. He heard people from the street yelling, "Bring back our wooden gallows!" See, they weren't angry that a man had been killed. They were angry that the guillotine had taken all the fun out of it. It wasn't bloody enough. It was all over too quickly. It was too clinical. It was too nice for those nasty criminals. France was trying to move away from using punishment as macabre theatre and towards a system where justice was swift, equal, and painless. And the project wasn't popular. But, to the relief of the crowds, the guillotine would come back as theatre very soon. To put all this in context, though, we need to go back 35 years to when that high executioner Sanson was just 18 years of age and was ordered to perform one of the worst executions in all human history. In January of 1757, a man named Robert François Damiens was put to death after he tried to assassinate the then King Louis XV of France by attacking him with a knife. Although the attempt was unsuccessful and the king survived, the French authorities were determined to bring the full weight of the law down. What happens next is bad. If you're not into gore and pain and all that, just go watch something else or skip ahead of it. But I promise this is to do with the story of the guillotine, and we're not just on a gore fest here. So Damiens was sentenced to public execution on March of 1757. When Sanson arrived to collect him from his cell, he said only, "This day will be hard." And my God, that was the understatement of the century. The whole ordeal started with Damiens having his legs broken. They did this by clamping his feet and lower legs into cast iron molds, and once inserted, they would use a mallet to drive chunks of wood into the gap between the iron mold and his shin, taking away chunks of skin and flesh as the wood is nailed downwards, and eventually crushing and fracturing his tibia and fibula. After that, they burned the hand that Damiens used when he was holding the knife, and they did this with a mixture of molten lead, hot wax, boiling oil and burning sulphur. The sulphur here, of course, having connotations of hell and more punishment waiting for him in the afterlife. Once his hand was taken care of, they then started to pick at him with red-hot pincers, essentially grabbing, burning and tearing off little gobs of flesh and leaving behind shallow wounds and chunks of muscle and skin that were missing. These missing chunks were then filled in by having that same mixture of boiling lead, oil, sulphur and wax poured into the open wounds with a punishing sizzle. We're not yet done, by the way, because after this he had his sexual organs removed with a blade and was finally laid on his back when Sanson and his men tied each of his forelimbs to 4 strong horses, all facing in a different direction, so that when they ran, he'd be dismembered. Damiens, however, didn't part with his limbs easily, and so the first attempt was unsuccessful. The horses dragged and pulled against his shattered legs and charred arms, but inflicted only pain. So, Sanson reached into Damiens' armpits and groin, where he was able to isolate and cut the tendons within his limbs, after which he sent the horses bolting for a second time, which worked. And Damiens' arms and legs were torn from his body, leaving only his head and torso on the ground. According to sources, he was still alive at this point and uttering the words, "Death, what's taking you so long?" Sanson then scooped up what was left of him, tied him to a stake, and then burned him alive. Casanova, who was an eyewitness to the ordeal, said, "We had the courage to watch the dreadful sight for 4 hours. I was several times obliged to turn away my face and to stop my ears as I heard his piercing shrieks, half of his body having been torn from him." All of this, of course, was very horrible. But it was this event where the story of the guillotine begins. See, although Damiens' execution was intended to be a display of the king's terrifying power and a shock tactic to preserve the position of the royals in France, The actual effect, however, was that it just galvanized intellectuals such as Voltaire, Thomas Paine, César Beccaria, and Edmund Burke against the tyrannical style rule of monarchy like that of the Ancien regime in France, which was quickly becoming seen as brutal, capricious, and unjust. The following half of that century would see these frustrations simmer until they exploded in 1789, when France suddenly found itself in the throes of a full-blown revolution, and France's monarchy was replaced with a new government based on ideals of equality, fraternity, and liberty. We're not going to get into the specifics of the French Revolution in this video because it's very, very complicated, but basically, while these new revolutionaries were discussing new ways of governance, a new calendar, a new state religion, and so on and so forth, they were also discussing new ways to change crime and punishment, and coming up with interesting methods to dispatch their political enemies. See, at the time, most European thought around law and order emphasised making public examples out of people with punishments that fit the crime, like Damien. This was based on principles like deterrence and lex talionis, an ancient legal idea that basically means an eye for an eye. But these new French revolutionaries wanted to change the emphasis away from public variety shows, obscure punishments and deterrence, and more towards a rights-based system where justice was swift and equal. In May 1791, one such revolutionary named Louis-Michel Lepelletier de Saint-Fargeau declared that from now on, any sentence involving the death penalty should be the simple deprivation of life without any torture added to it. By December of that year, it was law. Article 4 of the Criminal Code of 1791 stipulated that every person condemned to death shall have his head cut off. This was, by the standards of the time, quite humane and progressive. The death penalty was no longer about inflicting suffering on criminals, but now it was about depriving them of their rights, even if that was the right to life. It was also fairly egalitarian, because before all this, beheading was considered to be the aristocratic, high-status way of being knocked off, whereas the poor were typically just hanged. A painless, consistent method guided by a rights-based system to put people to death seemed like a step in the right direction. The problem was, they didn't bother to specify how this beheading should happen, and there was a big question mark about how they were actually going to do it. If this was supposed to be a standardised, fair and painless way to die, then leaving it up to an axeman wasn't going to cut it. Manual executions performed by swordsmen or axemen often came with errors. Missed swings, the need for a second or even third swing at the victim, axes and swords chipping and breaking, leaving people half dead. It just wasn't efficient and it wasn't clean. But then a man named Joseph Guillotin, an opponent of the death penalty funnily enough, proposed that instead of using a man to do the job, they should build a machine to do it instead. He went before the Assembly, which was essentially France's new government after the revolution, and proposed to them that they could decapitate criminals by the effect of a simple mechanism. The Assembly were not convinced, and Guillotin doubled down on the virtues of doing things his way. He joked that, "With my machine, I'll have your head off in the blink of an eye." The Assembly burst out laughing and shooed Guillotin out of the room. His idea had failed to convince them, but how little did they know that within a decade, so many of those men laughing at him would find themselves uttering their final words as they were fed into his machine, the guillotine. Not only this, but the general public found the idea that you could use a machine to behead someone, quite frankly, ridiculous, and a bit too soft and woke. Little songs were made.
Woke? Yeah, man, that guillotine's a little woke. Woke guillotine. I'm done. I will continue.